that is how you make a terrible decision. That is how you end up on a vacation with people that you're like, I know none of these people like me. Why am I here? Finally got my hands on All About Love. Please do suggest books down below. Hello everybody, I am Jack, or JC if you have been a long time subscriber to this channel, and if you're new, hello, welcome, glad to have you. You good? Alright. You can see by the turtleneck I'm a bit under the weather, so if my voice sounds very nasally or congested, it is. That's a fact. So yeah, let's jump into the reasons that I have made terrible decisions, the reasons that you are currently making terrible decisions or will make terrible decisions, so that you're aware of it and we can stop and make better decisions in our life. Like, I feel like there is a distinct difference between selfish decisions, which I do believe that we all should make, especially during certain parts of our life. Maybe I'll do a video on that, 5 selfish decisions that I think everyone should make, especially in their years before family and all of those things. Selfish decisions are totally different from bad decisions or decisions that are holding us back and not allowing us to grow. I think it's important to be prudent, to be forward thinking, to be future focused. The decisions that you make now will affect tomorrow, and I think if you start off with better decisions today, the outcome tomorrow will only be way better than you anticipated and expected it to be. So why not start with a great foundation, and then in the future you'll be able to see those seeds bloom. Let me jump into the main reason why I have made decisions that were freaking terrible. Multitasking. I know everyone says that they're good at multitasking. Everyone is an amazing multitasker. The facts are that far fewer people are actually good multitaskers than those that say they are good multitaskers. Me, I know my strengths, okay? I know where I thrive. I know what I'm good at. And I can be delusional about what I'm good at, but one thing that I am not delusional about is the fact that I am not the best multitasker. And how I've learned this is from my experiences making terrible decisions because I am multitasking. Of course, during this video, I'm talking about decisions that do affect you, that will affect you in the long run and in your life. But how I've come to realize that I'm not a good multitasker, and how you can realize it too, is when it comes down to the simple things, okay? We don't have to make decisions about whether or not you're going to go to this college or that college. That is a huge decision. What I'm talking about and where you can test it out are on things as simple as your to-do list. So I will have a to-do list for the day, and I'll be like, okay, the to-do list is looking a bit long, the day is going, the time has gone, where did it go? Let me try and double up this. Why don't I try to make this phone call while I'm also trying to make dinner? Hello? Hello? When I say the food finishes, the phone call finishes, one of the things is done well, usually the phone call. One of the things, it's a bit shabby, the food. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't add this, I didn't add that, I didn't add this. It just tastes different. It never tastes bad, okay? It never tastes bad, but it tastes different. Now, there are some people, few people, that are able to make that phone call, okay? Be on hold, hop back on hold, run to the stove, add this in at this time, run to the oven because they're also baking something, because you know they're great multitaskers. Take that out the oven at the right time, add the other ingredient it needs to go back in there. Get back onto the pot, stir a little bit, add another thing they have to do, then put the other thing on the pot that they have to add on, then get back to the phone call and still be chatting it up. I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. If it comes down to the brass tasks, okay, and I have to do it, then I will do it, but I just know that it's not going to be done at the same level and quality that it would be done if I were focusing on certain tasks separately. I believe there are a set of cognitive tasks that are very much so involved, that need to be done for most people separately in order to get the best outcome for it. And then there are certain tasks that are more autopilot, and those could be layered on top and done simultaneously as more cognitive tasks. But I think if you're trying to do 2 cognitive tasks at the same time, that really People that can do that, those are people that are pro multitaskers, and I know that that is not who I am. Now, tying this into bad decisions. There are moments, there have been times where I have been juggling many hats at one time, and a decision is placed on the table for me, and I make a decision that is not exactly what I would have made had I actually been focusing in on the activity and on the choice, and had been able to do the full range of thought and the thought process that I would need to be able to make such an important decision. And that might be the case for you. There might be many instances where you really need to take time out to just focus on doing one task at a time. That has been the solution for me, is instead of trying to do many things, I look at the to-do list, or I look at the things that have come up, things that have come up, and I'm like, okay, I know I need to focus heavily on this solo by itself. So what I'm going to do for this specific task or this specific decision is carve out an amount of time, and in that time I'm going to focus on this thing. That has helped me immensely. Again, I don't do that with everything. Not everything is by force. Not everything I need to like set out a block of time and sit there and do the thing. But there are certain things, and we all know those things for ourselves, that you have to just carve out the time. Say from 1 to 2, this is all I'm doing. This is what I'm focusing on, and by the time it's 2 o'clock, I will have come to a decision, and that decision, whether it ends great or whether it ends badly, I know that I made with all of my cognitive senses put into and placed into that decision. Next reason is just fatigue, mental fatigue. I don't know if you know this, but I think I found out this at Sephora, that when you're sniffing or smelling perfumes, your nose has a certain bandwidth, or your like sense of smell has a certain bandwidth for being able to pick up the certain fine details in fragrances. So after about the 3rd or 4th perfume that you smell, it depends, you're no longer really smelling the perfumes after that, really. At that point, your nose, your sense of smell is very fatigued, and everything starts to become one big wash. And even if it's not a wash, you're not smelling the same. Like if you were to buy the perfume that you smelled 6, by the time the next day comes, or you're actually wearing it and you smell it, it might smell different, because when you smelled it, you weren't even firing on all cylinders. Similarly, I believe that with mental capacity, it's the same thing. We're making decisions, small decisions, every single second of every day. I put this camera here. Where do I want to put it? I put the light here. Where do I want to put it? What sweater am I going to wear? Am I going to wear a sweater? How am I going to do my hair? And there's decisions that you're making intentionally, and then there are little decisions that you're making without even thinking about it. You're on the street and you're like, the light hasn't changed. Do I want to walk? Okay, I'm going to walk. Boom. These are decisions that just autopilot decisions. So there is such a thing as mental fatigue, decision making fatigue. And if you have a big decision coming up, or you have something that you wish you would spend more time on, or would like to spend more time on, perhaps scheduling for that decision or for that conversation to be in the beginning of the day would be very helpful. Or okay, if it happens, whatever happens, taking time, sleeping on it, and seeing what your decision, if the decision you came up with in that time is the same as it would be when you wake up the next day. And what's really key for decision making and mental fatigue is not allowing yourself to be pressured. There have been instances, okay, in my life where someone's like, okay, yeah, we need a decision. And I know that not only am I mentally decision-making fatigued, I'm just tired. I'm tired that day. And someone's like, okay, we need to decide. Like, at this point, we need to choose. Like, which Airbnb are we going to? Or which vacation are we going to choose? Or which dress are you going to go with? And I'm just like, just give me that one. And then when I show up, I'm just like, who chose this? Okay, I don't know. I must have been sleeping, because I don't know how this got past me. But it's like, no, you made that decision. So sometimes the feeling of pressure compounded on top of the fatigue, the overall fatigue, and then definitely the decision-making fatigue, can be detrimental. So if you are feeling pressured, again, it's one of those instances where you have to say, hey, I understand that there was a deadline to choose, and I missed the deadline by a long shot. I apologize, but give me a second. Give me a second, I'm going to get to this, please. That's something you can do, especially for decisions that actually matter, like what dress you're gonna wear. It's like, I mean, the dress might not give what you want it to give on the occasion, but it's not gonna kill you. But I mean, for more serious things, I definitely think taking out that time, requesting that time, and not feeling pressured to do so, because that is how you make a terrible decision. That is how you end up on a vacation with people that you're like, I know none of these people like me. Why am I here? It's a terrible time. You know, things like that. It's like, oh, maybe I should have stayed home. How did I end up here? I can be in my bed right now. I should be studying for my test, but now I'm outside. I'm outside when I should be inside, okay? This next one, I'm sure we all can relate. Emotions. Emotions, okay, are the groundwork for terrible, absolutely terrible decision making. It is a reason, one of the number one reasons, the top two at least on this list, that I have made terrible decisions. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, yes, we have feelings, but feelings are not facts. And that is the truth. We are all entitled to emotion. We all have a range of emotions, but we cannot allow those emotions that we feel, especially at the most heightened time that we feel them, to dictate the decisions that we make, especially important decisions, because you will look back on that decision and say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I wish I hadn't. And this one, I'm sure everyone would know that this could be a solution, but it's just taking time. So I'm gonna give an example that I'm sure you can relate to, but this happens for me all the time in terms of emotional decision making. There are times, okay, where I get a text message or a voice note of someone tap dancing on my nerves. I am telling you that this person is being shady in the text, honey, okay, shady in the text. And I want to clap back immediately. But the thing about me is that if I clap back, I'm always gonna probably take it a step further than it needed to be. A step further than it needs to be. And I have done this in the past, okay? And I have looked back and been like, where can I adjust? It hasn't happened much because I process things and I'm like, I don't like that. We're gonna do that differently. We're gonna do this differently next time. So for me, a key thing, especially with written correspondence, is seeing the text message and saying, are you dumb? Are you stupid? In my house, okay? I say it, but I don't type it out there. I don't type it. Instead, what I do is take a pause for the cause. I try not to write anything, actually. In fact, I am the queen of a delayed response. Just in general, actually, to be frank, because life gets busy, and again, I need to focus in on things. I'm not the best multitasker, so I can't be go all the time with my phone, Instagram, TikTok. Like, I need some time, I need some space. That works for me. But with those instances, I take some time. I say, okay, I see what you're saying there, understandable. I'm not going to respond. I'm not even going to go to the notes. I'm not even going to go to my notes and draft anything. I give myself about an hour or two. When I'm ready, come back around. Then I either mentally draft something. Sometimes I would like draft it in notes. I don't really do that anymore. I mentally draft something and I still do not send it. I take some time. It could be another hour. It could be me going to sleep and waking up the next day. And by the next day, I'm like, what I mentally draft, that was actually shady. That was operating from a spirit of wanting to be vindictive, wanting to get a reaction out of them, wanting to make them feel the same way that I felt when I read this text. And actually, if I look at their text, you know, I read it as something that is kind of insulting, but perhaps it wasn't meant to be. I could see how text things can get lost in translation. The beautiful thing about us humans is that we have emotions. That's what sets us apart from other animals in the animal kingdom. But the thing about emotions, especially with written correspondence, things can be lost in translation. Things can be misinterpreted, misconstrued. So let me give this person the benefit of the doubt and assume they're not trying to be a dickhead right now, bruh. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and instead of what I was thinking of sending, and I'm so glad I did not send yesterday, I'm going to send this. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, maybe they were trying to be shady, but my response being so like, I'm gonna let that go over my head because not today, Satan, they end up coming around, and then we're like back on track. All that to say, take a pause for the cause, especially when it comes to emotions, when you can. Now, if we're talking about in person, I tend to lean more towards the calm side in general when it comes to person things. Also, I find that people are less likely to be shady to your face. Like, it's easier to like text and type and all of that, but when people are in your face, for the most part, especially the people I hang around, everyone's nice, cordial people. So I don't really have much experiences with, you know, confrontation head on, but I think that can still apply if you need to take some moments by yourself, sit in a corner, figure it out, and then come back with a response that you think is going to be productive and forward moving in terms of the conversation. Then I would do that. But reason for a horrible decision. You break up with someone one day, or rather, someone breaks up with you one day, you're upset about it, someone else invites you to another country, you know you should not be going because you don't know that man. Now you're in Dubai, shaking your bum on a yacht. It sounds like a good time, but you know, the Dubai, there are undertones with Dubai. Anyway, if you get it, then you get it. If you don't get it, then forget it. Forget about it, man. Another thing that has led me to making bad decisions is time to think in group settings. This is specifically for group settings. So again, I think it's been highlighted here that time to think is important. But what I'm talking about specifically, and hear me if you hear me, in group settings, I tend to be more, especially with people I don't know, more reserved, more laid back. Other people will lead the conversation. When I feel like I need to chime in, I will chime in. That is more my speed. That is more my jam, you know? And I find that in those scenarios, especially with things like work environment, or group, like when you're in school and you have a group, a project, things like that, even group interviews. The loudest people don't always have the brightest ideas, let's be clear. They're just quick thinkers, and being a quick thinker is a skill. It is an excellent skill, but it doesn't necessarily mean the thing that you thought of is very revolutionary. But if you're the only person in the room with a thought, an idea immediately, people will latch on to that. And sometimes there are people in the room, like myself, that are not like quick thinkers with solutions. I am a person that likes to mull over things, to come up with a solution and then think, will this help? What are the pros? What are the cons? Okay, let's tweak that solution. We could get to this. We could get it more specific and refined. Not everyone is like that. But when you're in a room or in a situation where someone else, boom, immediately puts forward an idea, most people in the room tend to latch on to that idea because it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to do the thinking. Let's latch on to that. The investigation of whether it's a good idea or not is kind of lost in translation because everyone's trying to figure out how to make this idea work. That is how you can end up in a bad decision making. Groupthink, very, very simple. It's been studied many times in psychology. So a decision might not be work related, but if you're in a group of friends, it's almost like peer pressure. People are trying to do this thing, someone presents an idea, and although you know, I don't think this is a good idea, I think this could end up with us in trouble. Like, you want us to run over here, sneak into this person's, jump over this person's fence, knock on the door and try and sneak this person out. I don't think this is the best idea, but it's the only solution presented right now by the loudest person who is strong and absolutely wrong. And because you don't have any idea, you feel it's better than just to go along with the person whose idea it is. And we're in a society that's very solution oriented. We're in a society that's very much so, those who talk the most seem like they know the most. And people tend to respect the extrovert. People tend to respect the person that is the first to jump on the call, the person that is the first to jump up and say something. And that's just the way it is. And because we have all been cultured like that, it becomes and seems almost natural to, okay, let's follow the lead of the person that has just assumed this leadership position because they are louder or because they are more vocal. And those instances can lead to bad decision making because you're not actually making the decision. If you're in a situation where someone has presented an idea, the first idea, and everyone's going along with that, but you're like, this is a terrible idea, do not be afraid to say, hey, I don't have a better idea, but can we come up with an option? And then we could decide which one we like better. Present the opportunity to have an option. Because even if you don't have an option, there might be someone else in that group of people that may not be like you. They may not need time to like go home, mull it over, think refine, but they just might be a bit more quiet. And they have an idea, but they're not as loud and they're not as good at debating as this person. So once everyone jumps on that person's bandwagon, they kind of feel silenced, like, oh, there's no point of even saying, like, that's just a stupid idea. People love their idea. But you creating that space and opportunity might allow that person to come in. And now, instead of just one bad idea that people are jumping on, you could have two bad ideas, maybe. You could have one bad idea and an okay idea. You could have two okay ideas and you come up with the best of the two. This last one is not so much about my decision making, but more about indecision. Perfectionism. Perfectionism has led to indecision on my part on multiple occasions. I think the lack of making a decision, no decision at all, is also a decision in a way. We are in a day and age where it is so easy when you have an idea to look up all the ways that you can succeed. You can make this much, you can hire maybe this many people, it'll take this long to do it for some people, it can take this long for this people if you do this, that, as well as being able to see how many ways you can succeed and how many other people have succeeded doing this thing. You can also see all the ways there is to fail, okay? There's so many seeds of doubt that can be planted so easily in the snap of a finger, as quick as a search. So seeing the way it can go well, but also seeing the way that it can go wrong, can lead to people being very, very fearful. You're analyzing so much to see, okay, what are the chances that I'm gonna be more like this successful person than this person that failed? Analysis paralysis. You have too much information that is good, but too much information that it can become bad, it can become overwhelming, and it can become something that seems impossible to accomplish. That is tough, and that has been something that I have definitely struggled with. I'm getting better at it now. Like if I have an idea, if I want to do something, I'm like, boom, I'm gonna do it. And the ways to practice that are with simple things. I feel like you just have to build confidence in yourself, and confidence can be built from the smaller tasks. You do something small, you set your mind to, you say you're gonna do this thing, and hey, I don't have all my ducks in a row, I don't have everything figured out, but I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna see. And you do that one time, it's so much easier the second time, and then so much easier third, fourth, fifth time, and soon you're doing this with big decisions that you never even thought that you would do. And failure comes with it, and you'll see that in some of the ventures that you do, you will fail, and then you realize, I'm still alive, I'm still here, let me try again. I hope this was a helpful video for you. We all go through things that cause our decisions to be not the best, okay? And here are a few of the reasons so that you know that you're not alone, that it's many people that are going through this. There's research, there's science behind all of this stuff. And there are ways and things that you can implement if you know you struggle in certain areas to get the best outcome for yourself and to get the best decisions made now that will 100% help you in your future. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you're interested, you could check out my TikTok. I make some content on there. You know, just again, throwing things at the wall, seeing what works, but having a great time doing it. Have Instagram as well, and I do sell a hair growth oil if you're interested in natural hair growth. This is a natural hair channel, and I have started incorporating some of this holistic, you know, mindset, betterment, motivational content, and I hope you do enjoy it, and I will continue to be producing these, so hopefully, you know, more people watch. I know it's very different, but I have been having a good time, so I'm gonna leave you there. Bye guys. Mwah.